The series starts with Gu Li celebrating with his company's employees after the success of their latest robot development project. He tells his friend Han Yi that he has to leave now to choose the singer who will perform at their company's live events. In the next scene, the main character Haoyang appears, wearing bold clothes and heavy makeup, on her way to the singing competition held by the company to select the performer. She gets into Gu Li's car, thinking he's the driver she ordered. He tells her he's not the driver, so she runs to catch a taxi, but someone else takes it. She runs back to Gu Li and begs him to take her quickly, not wanting to be late. When Gu Li finds out they're headed to the same place, he agrees to drive her. Haoyang notices he takes a different route and gets a bit worried, but he explains that traffic is bad and he's using a shortcut. When they arrive, Haoyang quickly thanks Gu Li and runs. A few steps later, she nearly falls, and Gu Li catches her. Haoyang gazes at his handsome face for a moment before forcing herself to move so she won't be late. She starts singing live in front of the audience while wearing a mask. As Gu Li watches the competition, he feels like he's seen this girl before. When she takes off the mask, he realizes she's the same girl. Right before Gu Li casts his vote, he gets an important phone call and decides to leave quickly. Han Yi has no choice but to vote in Gu Li's place, and he chooses Haoyang as the winner of the competition. After Haoyang leaves the stage, the other girls start talking, saying she only won by luck because Gu Li left. Haoyang tells them to try winning by luck too if they can. A little while later, Gu Li comes back, and all the girls start looking at him and trying to flirt, but he doesn't pay attention to any of them. When he goes into the office, and his friend asks him why he didn't give his WeChat to any of the girls, saying he'll stay single forever if he keeps this up. But Gu Li says they're all fake and wear too much makeup, and he's not attracted to that type. On his way out, he runs into Haoyang again. She eagerly asks for his WeChat, and Gu Li thinks she's trying to flirt, so he refuses. But she tells him she just wants to pay him back for the ride. Gu Li hesitates, but Han Yi encourages him to give her a chance because she seems sincere. So Gu Li goes back to her and gives her his WeChat. When Haoyang gets home, she messages Gu Li right away and asks if he's awake. When he replies, she says she wants to give him the money, but he refuses. So she decides to sing him a song instead. When Gu Li tells her she has a beautiful voice, Haoyang feels really happy. Haoyang tells her aunt a little later that she met a really handsome guy today, but her aunt tells her she's still young and should focus on her university studies. However, Haoyang already has a crush on Gu Li. The next morning, when she wakes up, she's happy and tells her aunt that she's going to message him. But her aunt tells her that he's already deleted her. We then see a flashback to the night before, where Gu Li was talking to Han Yi and told him that Haoyang only used the money as an excuse to keep in touch with him, so he decided to delete her. Back with Haoyang's aunt, she advises her to reveal her true identity when she sings because if people later find out who she is, she'll be in an awkward position with her friends. But Haoyang says that as long as she's still a student, she can't let people know how young she is, or they'll make fun of her. Haoyang goes to university, and there, her friend Zhu Yi asks her to pretend to be his girlfriend in front of a girl who just confessed her love to him. After the girl leaves, Haoyang tells Zhu to stop dragging her into his personal issues from now on. In the next scene, Haoyang is seen submitting her application to work at the same company where she sings live, but only for a daytime internship job, so her mother doesn't suspect she's working as a singer. She hopes she won't run into the manager, Gu Li, so he doesn't recognize her. But as soon as she enters the company, she sees Gu Li in front of her. He takes the coffee from her hand, thinking she's the delivery girl. But when Gu Li takes a sip, he realizes the coffee has no sugar. He looks at her and sees the real delivery guy nearby, so he asks who she is. Haoyang tells him she's the new intern, but he immediately tells her to leave, saying he doesn't allow girls to work in the programming and development department. Han Yi, however, asks him to give her a chance. Later, when Haoyang goes down to the parking garage, she finds a boy trapped inside a car, and everyone is trying to get him out without success. Gu Li arrives too and suggests breaking the glass, but Haoyang tells him that would hurt the boy. She reminds him that since he works in tech, there must be another solution. Gu Li tells her that if someone communicates with the car's system, it might unlock. Haoyang leans in as much as she can and asks the car to open the roof. It works, and she jumps in quickly, calming the boy by telling him that his mother is playing hide and seek with him. When the mother returns, she thanks Haoyang because the boy hadn't been scared at all. Haoyang goes back to her interview, and Gu Li decides to give her a chance. Han Yi secretly passes her a paper with an answer to one of the questions. After a few questions, Haoyang is asked how she would comfort someone who lost a loved one. Haoyang refuses to read from Han Yi's paper. She says that there's nothing she could really do, except stay by that person's side. because even words won't help. What the person needs is to feel that they're not alone. When Gu Li hears this, he's moved and decides to officially hire Hao Liang for the company. In the evening, Hao Liang disguises herself as the singer and goes to the company to do her performance job. But she hears the fire alarm, part of a drill for emergency evacuation. From a distance, she spots Gu Li coming, and afraid he might recognize her, she quickly decides to take the elevator. Gu Li follows her and scolds her, telling her she should have taken the stairs during a fire drill instead of using the elevator. But what matters most to Hao Liang in that moment is that he didn't recognize her. The next day, one of Hao Liang's co-workers notices her AirPods case and asks to trade it for something else, but she says she loves it and can't give it away. Then another co-worker tells her they're planning a dinner to celebrate her, since she's the only girl accepted into the department. Hao Liang asks what kind of food Gu Li likes, and one of the guys lies and tells her Gu Li loves spicy food. At the restaurant, Hao Liang is surprised when Gu Li doesn't eat any of the spicy dishes she ordered. She regrets only ordering spicy food. A little later, Gu Li gets up to leave. Hao Liang asks what's wrong, and Han Yi tells her that Gu Li never eats spicy food. Hao Liang scolds the coworker who lied, but he tells her it's her fault for not giving him the AirPods case. She runs after Gu Li, apologizes, and explains that her coworker lied to her. She offers to go somewhere else with him, but he declines. So she buys him a juice and asks him to accept it as an apology. He takes it and tells her to let him know if any of her coworkers ever bullies her. Soon after, Hao Liang returns to the company and changes into her other identity. When she leaves, she sees Gu Li sitting and drinking the juice she gave him. She approaches him, holding the same juice, and tries to start a conversation. However, Gu Li, thinking she's just the singer and not his employee Hao Liang, speaks to her in a condescending manner, telling her to leave him alone because she's not his type. The next day, Hao Liang is late for work because she stayed singing late into the night. She finds herself in a meeting where the manager scolds her for being careless. At the end of the day, Hao Liang goes to the bathroom to change, but finds her colleague there. Tells her she will wait for her, but Hao Liang apologizes, saying her stomach hurts and she'll be a little late. Jim leaves and runs into Gu Li, telling him to give Hao Liang a break because she's been having stomach pains for several days and has been going to the bathroom often. Gu Li goes to the bathroom to check on Hao Liang, but he finds the singer coming out instead. Hao Liang tries to get closer to him, repeatedly trying to slip a tissue into his pocket, hoping to get his attention. Gu Li, however, ignores her, dries his hands with the tissue, and puts it in his pocket. When Gu Li returns to the office, he takes the tissue out and places it on the desk. Han Yi picks it up and realizes it has the live broadcast link that Hao Liang uses for her performances. He opens the link, and Hao Liang notices someone leaving many comments. She thinks it's Gu Li and asks to add him, excited to connect with him. Little does she know, it's actually Han Yi communicating with her. The next day at the company, Hao Liang receives a call from Zhu Yi, who tells her that her attendance in lectures has been poor and that her math skills are really bad. He warns her that if she doesn't improve before the next test, she'll be in big trouble. Hao Liang doesn't realize that a coworker who's been bullying her overheard the entire conversation and learned she's still a student. Hao Liang asks him to keep quiet and not tell anyone, offering to do whatever he wants at the company in exchange. The bully agrees, but Hao Liang insists that he help her study, to which he also agrees. From that day on, Hao Liang spends a lot of time with her coworker, and Gu Li notices this several times. He starts feeling jealous, not fully understanding the nature of their relationship. The next day, Gu Li decides to buy thermal mugs for Hao Liang and all the employees, knowing she's been having stomach issues. Her supervisor tells her that it's a gift from Gu Li to motivate everyone. However, Hao Liang's coworker notices that his mug looks exactly like hers, and rumors begin to spread among the staff about a possible relationship between them. The coworker gets really upset and pulls Hao Liang aside, telling her that they need to clear up the misunderstanding with their colleagues before things get worse. Hao Liang begs him not to share her secret, fearing she might get fired, and promises to give him the AirPods case he wanted. He hugs her in happiness, thanking her. Neither of them realizes that Gu Li and Han Yi witnessed the whole scene. Han Yi tells Gu Li that Hao Liang and her coworker have been together for a while. In the evening, while in her singer persona, Hao Liang receives a message from Gu Li, telling her that he bought her a thermal mug since she's considered an employee of the company even though she works as a singer. Hao Liang is overjoyed, especially since she received the same gift from the person she likes twice. She messages him from her singer account to thank him for what he did. Gu Li invites her to dinner the next day, and she's ecstatic. However, her aunt advises her to forget about all this and focus on her studies because Gu Li will abandon her when he finds out her true identity. Hao Liang tries to ignore her aunt's words and focus only on her happiness. Meanwhile, Han Yi tells Gu Li that he set up a meeting with the singer Gu Li is interested in, but Gu Li refuses to go, telling Han Yi that it's his own mess and that he has to figure it out. The next day, while on her way to meet Gu Li, Hao Liang receives a message from Zhu Yi, saying that their math teacher insists on putting her in trouble if she doesn't attend today's lecture. Hao Liang asks her aunt to go meet Gu Li on her behalf instead. However, when she arrives at the company, she decides to leave a small gift for Gu Li before leaving, only to be surprised to find him already inside. Hao Liang asks him why he didn't go to the restaurant as they agreed. Gu Li tells her that it was his friend who had been talking to her all this time and that he was just joking around. Hao Liang tells him that she doesn't care about what his friend did. Hao Liang, feeling vulnerable, directly asks Gu Li for his opinion about her. Without hesitation, Gu Li tells her that she's fake, wears too much makeup, and dresses in a way that doesn't suit him. He adds that he doesn't like her doing live performances. This makes Hao Liang feel crushed, but she tells him she can accept his criticism about her appearance, but she won't accept him belittling her singing because it's the only thing that saved her life when she was drowning in sadness and despair. After saying this, she leaves him a small gift and walks away. When Gu Li opens it, he finds it's the same food they had at the restaurant before, but not spicy this time. The next day, Hao Liang goes to the company and returns the thermal mug to Han Yi. Gu Li is puzzled by her behavior and doesn't understand why she's upset. When they enter the meeting, Gu Li coldly treats her bullying coworker, thinking he might have said something to upset her. Hao Liang tries to defend her coworker in front of Gu Li, but the coworker shouts at her, telling her not to get involved in things that don't concern her. They end up arguing, and Gu Li tells them to separate their personal lives from work. When they leave the meeting, the bullying coworker yells at Hao Liang, telling her to fix the situation immediately since she's the one who caused it. Hao Liang enters the office and tries to explain the situation to Gu Li. Gu Li calls her coworker in and asks him not to deny his feelings for Hao Liang. However, the coworker, tired of the whole situation, finally tells Gu Li the truth, that Hao Liang is a student and struggling in math, and that he had to keep it a secret. Hao Liang expects Gu Li to fire her, but instead, Gu Li approaches her coworker and tells him not to undermine his colleague in that way. He asks him to apologize to Hao Liang and promises that they'll help her overcome her problems. After that, all the employees tried to help Hao Liang and explain the math problems to her, but she was surprisingly bad at understanding mathematics. When Gu Li tried to teach her himself, Hao Liang remembered what he had said about her other personality and felt sad. She decided to leave him, but he stopped her and started explaining the problems to her. On her way out, while holding some papers, Hao Liang tripped and fell, just as Gu Li approached her and helped her up. He then offered to drive her home. Although she was still angry and wanted to refuse, she reluctantly agreed as he insisted. During the drive, he told her that he would continue helping her until she improved because she was smarter than she thought. The next day, Gu Li continued to teach her, and over time, Hao Liang was able to solve the problems on her own, leaving all the employees amazed by her skills. The following day, everyone had extra work, so they decided to stay late at the office. Hao Liang became worried because she wanted to change into her singer's outfit, so she went to the bathroom without anyone noticing. She entered, but when she came out, she found Gu Li standing there. He had seen her enter the bathroom. Gu Li told her that he was happy to have met her and apologized for the way he spoke to her last time, downplaying her work, even though she was working for his company. Gu Li asked her to go into the bathroom to hurry up Hao Liang, so she went in and pretended to talk to her. Then, she came out and told Gu Li that the employee was having a stomach ache and still needed some time. Gu Li left, and Hao Liang also left. After finishing work, she took her bike outside, and while she was riding, she received a message from Gu Li on her regular account asking why she hadn't come out of the bathroom yet. Hao Liang apologized, saying she had a stomach ache and left quickly. Gu Li replied, telling her to take the next day off if she was feeling that sick. He also hinted that he was starting to like her. The next day, Han Yi went to Hao Liang and asked how Gu Li had agreed to hire her in the department, as he had never hired any girl before. He implied that maybe Gu Li liked her, but Hao Liang told him that she was a hardworking girl, and it was her dedication that made Gu Li accept her into the department. A little while later, Gu Li arrived and began teaching Hao Liang math again. While she seemed to be in deep concentration on her studies, Hao Liang was actually thinking about how to ask Gu Li to have lunch with her as a way to thank him for helping her with her studies. Soon, she received a confirmation message from the restaurant about her reservation, and she decided to gather her courage and invite Gu Li to lunch as a thank you. Even though she thought he might refuse, he immediately agreed. When they arrived at the restaurant, they discovered it was couple's day. The waiter told them that, in order to eat, Gu Li had to tie Hao Yang's hair the way she liked it most. Both of them became nervous, but Gu Li, hungry, refused to cancel the reservation and tied Hao Yang's hair. Although it was a bit messy, Hao Yang was happy with it. After a while, the waiter came to her and told her that if she uploaded a photo of the restaurant to her WeChat and got 100 likes, they would give her the restaurant's special spicy chicken dish. Hao Yang was excited at first but remembered that Gu Li didn't like spicy food, so she decided not to do it and went to the bathroom. However, Gu Li took the photo and uploaded it to his WeChat, asking people to help him reach 100 likes. When Han Yi saw the post, he quickly messaged Gu Li, asking what he was doing, but Gu Li told him not to interfere in things that weren't his business. When Hao Yang returned from the bathroom, she found that the post had indeed received 100 likes, and she was given the spicy chicken dish. She was happy, but Gu Li apologized for not being able to tie her hair properly. She smiled and told him she loved it just the way it was. When Hao Yang returned to work, she went up to the roof to apply some makeup but heard footsteps coming, so she quickly hid. Hao Yang overhears Han Yi talking to one of their colleagues about the post Gu Li shared, and Han Yi mentions that he did it for Hao Yang. The colleague tells Han Yi that it's obvious Gu Li is very interested in Hao Yang, and Han Yi agrees. Hao Yang feels happy upon hearing this because she never thought Gu Li would fall for her simple personality, especially since she doesn't even wear much makeup, as most men prefer beautiful girls. When she got home, her friends started giving her advice on how to attract Gu Li's attention. The next day, she went to the company with the intention of pretending to be sweet and fragile in front of him. When she saw him entering through the door, she tried to pretend she would fall so he could catch her, like in the movies. However, it was the security guard who caught her instead. He told her he was new at work and had seen her wandering around the company for some time, and asked to see her work permit, which Hao Yang gave him. After entering the company, Hao Yang offered Gu Li some peanut candy. At first, he hesitated to take it, but then he accepted and ate it. She felt happy. However, the next day she found out that Gu Li was absent from work. Han Yi told her that Gu Li had been taken to the hospital yesterday because he ate peanuts and has an allergy to them. Hao Yang's face showed signs of regret, and Han Yi, along with their colleagues, looked at her suspiciously. He told her that she must have been the one who made Gu Li eat the peanuts, as he wouldn't have eaten them from anyone else but her. Han Yi gives Hao Yang some files and asks her to deliver them to Gu Li's house since he's feeling tired and resting. He gives her the code to enter the house. However, when Hao Yang arrives at Gu Li's house, she realizes she forgot the code. After several failed attempts to enter, the cleaning lady sees her and accuses her of being a thief. Hao Yang insists that she is Gu Li's employee. Gu Li, having heard the commotion, comes out of the house and lets her in. She thanks him for his help and apologizes for the disturbance, then hands him the files. When she tries to leave, she realizes the door is locked because of her previous attempts to open it. Gu Li reassures her that he will get the spare key from the office, but after searching he can't find it. He tells her they will have to wait for the lock to reset, and asks her to sit down while he prepares something for her. A little while later, Hao Yang feels the need to use the bathroom but feels embarrassed to ask. She eventually tells Gu Li, goes to the bathroom, and notices some skincare products, which makes her wonder if he's living with a girl. When she comes out, she finds Gu Li sleeping, and she covers him with a blanket while admiring him. Soon, Hao Yang hears attempts to open the door, which makes her nervous, but Gu Li holds her and covers her mouth, saying loudly to Han Yi that the door's lock is broken. Han Yi thinks Gu Li has a girl with him inside and tells him he'll come back later. However, he changes his mind and says he won't be staying at the house tonight. Hao Yang feels relieved knowing that Han Yi is the one living with Gu Li. Soon, Hao Yang felt hungry, and Gu Li decided to cook for her himself. While they were sitting down to eat, both received phone calls at the same time. The hotel worker informed Gu Li that the door malfunction wouldn't be fixed for another 24 hours. Gu Li looked at Hao Yang and asked if she had a problem, but Hao Yang, who was talking to a colleague, was told she needed to go live immediately. She indeed had a problem. Hao Yang decided to go into the bathroom to sing, but Gu Li heard sounds coming from inside. She tried to cover it up, but barely managed to hide the situation. Her followers became suspicious because she was singing without showing her face, but Hao Yang refused to appear on camera. Feeling nervous, Hao Yang accidentally got herself wet, and after a few minutes, she came out of the bathroom wearing Gu Li's pajamas, which she had borrowed. Gu Li was in shock when he saw her like this, and his heart began racing. Hao Yang approached him to check his temperature, but he grabbed her hand to stop her. He then went to get a drink, but Hao Yang followed him, which made him even more anxious. After a while, Gu Li suggested that Hao Yang sleep on the couch and that he would sleep in his room because he could only sleep in his own bed. The truth was he feared that if they both slept in the living room, she would keep going in and out of the bathroom, which would only increase his discomfort. Therefore, he decided to take the room himself. While Haoyang was setting the alarm to wake up before Gu Li and adjust her appearance, the next day she woke up late but discovered that Gu Li was still asleep. She quickly ran to the kitchen and grabbed 2 spoons to place on her eyes to reduce the swelling. However, Gu Li surprised her by opening the front door after returning from his workout, catching her in this funny situation. Haoyang asked him if he had been out early, and he told her that he hadn't wanted to wake her up when he saw her sleeping. Haoyang panicked when she realized he had seen her and asked if she had done something suspicious. Gu Li teased her, saying that she had been snoring and talking nonsense, calling him the worst boss she'd ever had. Haoyang was shocked and told him she'd never thought of him like that. Gu Li, noticing her distress, reassured her that he was just joking, and nothing like that had happened. When they arrived at the company, Han Yi noticed Gu Li staring at Haoyang nonstop. He approached him and said, "I knew you liked her," but Gu Li replied that he wasn't sure if he liked her, especially since he was 10 years older than her. Han Yi told him that age didn't matter when it came to love. Soon, Gu Li sat down with Haoyang to teach her some more, and while she was completely distracted, thinking about him, Gu Li noticed her zoning out. He told her that if she could solve the problems correctly, he would give her any reward she wanted. Haoyang considered asking him to love her but hesitated and then said that it wasn't possible. As they were leaving, the power went out in the company, and Haoyang became frightened, gripping Gu Li tightly. Gu Li becomes very tense from Haoyang's closeness and takes her to the car while feeling anxious. In a state of discomfort, he loosens his tie, and Haoyang, sensing that he is struggling to breathe, reaches out to unbutton his shirt. Gu Li feels a jolt of electricity run through his body and quickly slams the brakes, overwhelmed with nervousness. Later, when Gu Li and Han Yi return home, Gu Li tries to talk to Haoyang but finds it difficult to start a conversation. Han Yi, noticing this, offers to help and accidentally sends a message to Haoyang, apologizing for the mistake. This opens the door for a conversation between Gu Li and Haoyang. The next day, Haoyang gives Gu Li green tea to help calm his nerves so that nothing like yesterday happens again. Gu Li, still feeling tense, hesitates before handing her some documents she needed, telling her that he had printed them for her. At that moment, Han Yi enters the office and slyly mentions that Gu Li had never printed files for anyone before. After Haoyang leaves, Gu Li prints another sheet with specific grades related to Haoyang's personality, marking the traits he likes about her. Later, when Haoyang leaves the company, she receives a call from Han Yi, informing her that they're going to karaoke to celebrate Gu Li's birthday. There, the employees decide to play a word game where they must describe the word they're given. Wanting to match Gu Li and Haoyang, Han Yi chooses the word kiss for both of them to describe. When Gu Li tries to lean in to kiss Haoyang, their colleague jumps in front of the phone and says the word aloud. This causes the others to laugh and playfully start teasing him. Gu Li gets drunk, and Han Yi asks Haoyang to take him home. When she does this, and before she leaves, Gu Li asks her not to go and to open the door for him. Even though she had forgotten, she opens it, and he pushes her inside. He tells her never to forget the word again. After a while, Gu Li starts acting very drunk, and the robot is filming what's happening. Gu Li tries to redo Haoyang's hair, but she tries to stop him and pushes him, causing him to fall on top of her. Haoyang tries to use the situation to ask him if he loves her. Gu Li responds with a question of his own, asking if she loves him. Haoyang quietly admits that she loved him from the first sight, but Gu Li, at that moment, had lost consciousness before hearing her words. The next day, while cleaning and organizing the office, Haoyang notices the paper Gu Li had been keeping, and she assumes it's her math grades. She feels angry, especially when she goes to the kitchen and finds the tea she had given him still there, which makes her feel that Gu Li doesn't care about her at all, leaving her heartbroken. But her friend comes up behind her as she sadly holds the tea. Haoyang stands in sadness in the middle of a meeting, and Gu Li wonders what's wrong with her. However, her friend reveals that it was because of the tea, and Gu Li takes her to his office. He shows her that the tea in the kitchen was for the company, and the one he had been keeping in the office was the one she gave him. The next day, Han Yi enters Gu Li's office, telling him that he saw Haoyang sitting with a guy at the cafeteria, and it seems Gu Li now has competition. Gu Li goes there and sees her with Zhu Yi, feeling jealous. When Gu Li returned to the office, he asked Han Yi if he thought she loved him. Han Yi replied that she did love him, but her feelings might change, and he couldn't blame her since Gu Li hadn't confessed to her. Soon after, Gu Li calls Haoyang to his office and asks where she had been. Haoyang apologizes, explaining that she had left work for a while to stay with her boyfriend, who was helping her with studying. Gu Li felt relieved to know it was her boyfriend and then told her that he would help her with her studies himself so that she could become skilled in math. While waiting for him in the office for her lessons, Hao Liang gazed at the paper he had given her, which showed a 36 grade. She felt angry and sad but hid her emotions when Gu Li entered. When Gu Li asked if anything he said while drunk upset her, Hao Liang refused to tell him anything. The next day, Gu Li decides to accompany Hao Liang to the university to see her grades himself. On the way, they run into her teacher. Hao Liang tries to hide behind Gu Li, but the teacher sees her and warns her that she can't keep neglecting her studies, or she might fail math. Gu Li talks to the teacher alone and asks if she feels something is distracting Hao Liang, like if she might be in love. The teacher tells him that she is always with a guy named Zhu Yi, and Gu Li feels reassured because he knows Zhu Yi is her friend. Gu Li sits with Hao Liang to correct the test, and Hao Liang thinks her grades will be bad, but she's surprised when she gets a good grade. She feels overwhelming happiness, but that quickly turns to sadness when she realizes she won't need Gu Li anymore. She thanks him but tells him she won't bother him again. However, since he doesn't want to distance himself from her, Gu Li tells her that she is still weak in math. Just then, a classmate enters the room and tries to get closer to Gu Li. Hao Liang feels jealous, but Gu Li's jealousy is even stronger when Zhu Yi comes to take Hao Liang outside. Hao Liang tells Zhu what happened and asks him what he does when he's upset. Zhu Yi begins to joke around with her nonstop, and Gu Li drives by in his car, his jealousy growing noticeably. Gu Li goes to Han Yi, who is watching a video where a young man confesses his love for a girl and asks her to watch the sunrise with him. When Gu Li asks if girls are affected by something like this, Han Yi tells him that it affects them a lot. Meanwhile, Hao Liang is singing in front of an audience as part of a challenge. She drinks vinegar if she loses and then tells her followers that she's sorry for trying to switch the vinegar with water before the live stream. She didn't want to deceive her followers who have supported her from the start, so she decided to drink the vinegar as promised. After a while, Zhu Yi calls her to congratulate her, saying the views were higher than ever for this live stream. The next day, Hao Liang goes to university and discovers that she received high grades on the last test, specifically a 100. She wants to call Gu Li to tell him, but she's afraid of being a burden, so she decides not to contact him. The following day at the company, Gu Li learns that she got high grades, so he buys her a gift, an album of her favorite band. However, she doesn't know who sent it, and her bullying friend takes it. When Hao Liang enters Gu Li's office, she thanks him for everything he has done for her, expressing how much she appreciates his help recently. But she tells him that she can no longer balance her studies and work because she already works at the company as a singer at night. She doesn't manage to tell him this directly. Gu Li tells her she can take time off and return to work whenever she wants, but she informs him that she is resigning because there is no other choice. Although Gu Li is upset, he can't say anything. After a while, when Gu Li leaves the office, he finds that Hao Liang's things have all disappeared, realizing that she has indeed resigned and he couldn't stop her. When he gets home, he sadly tells Han Yi that Hao Liang has quit and that he doesn't know what to do. Han Yi tries to contact Hao Liang through WeChat, but Gu Li couldn't reach her, so he goes to his room feeling down. The next evening, Hao Liang watches Gu Li, who looks sad, and approaches him. She tells him she knows his favorite employee has resigned, but she feels it's for the best since she wasn't being helpful anyway. Gu Li scolds her, telling her to mind her own business, then leaves her behind. The next day, Hao Liang goes to a dance club for lessons, but she doesn't feel comfortable with the members of the group. When she returns home, she tells her aunt about it, and her aunt suggests that she could quit singing and return to her internship in the programming department. Hao Liang, however, tells her aunt that she can't leave the singing department because she loves it. Her aunt then tells her to stop what she's doing and go welcome the guest who has come for them. When Hao Liang goes out to greet the guest, she's shocked to find it's Han Yi. She's surprised, but Han Yi tells her that he learned from her aunt through her cooking channel that she invited the most interactive fan to come and film a video in her kitchen. Then, he quietly confesses that he has fallen in love with her aunt, not just as a fan. When he asks Hao Liang why she resigned from the company, she tells him that her family wants her to work with them in teaching. When Han Yi enters the kitchen, he starts filming the video with Hao Liang's aunt, and Hao Liang feels embarrassed by his presence. Later, when Han Yi returns to the company, he tells Gu Li that he met Hao Liang today and that she told him she resigned because Gu Li hadn't been kind to her. Gu Li doesn't believe what Han Yi says, so Han Yi insists that it's true since Hao Liang had given him many gifts and subtly hinted at her love for him multiple times, but Gu Li never paid attention. Gu Li decides to start paying more attention to her. The next day, Gu Li goes to her university, but he arrives at the wrong time. He sees her with her friend Zhu Yi, who pretends that he is her boyfriend again to push another girl away. Gu Li misunderstands the situation, but Hao Liang clears everything up for him. Gu Li tells Hao Liang that he won't be able to sign her internship certificate at the company since she hasn't completed her entire work period. However, Zhui tells her not to worry about it because the company isn't that important. Gu Li becomes angry and tells her that if she doesn't return to work, someone else will take her position before storming off. Hao Liang tries to follow him, but she can't catch up. A few days later, an investor visits Gu Li's company and offers $100 million in exchange for 30% of the company's investments, which Gu Li agrees to. Meanwhile, Hao Liang is in the training room when she receives a message from Han Yi about the investment Gu Li made. This motivates Hao Liang, and she begins to train harder, feeling inspired to succeed just like Gu Li. When Hao Liang returns home, she finds Han Yi there, and her aunt announces that she is officially dating Han Yi now. Hao Liang is shocked by how quickly things have developed. When Han Yi returns to the company, he tells Gu Li that he invited Hao Liang to the company trip, and he will try to convince her to come. He also mentions that he plans to use this opportunity to get closer to her. Han Yi then contacts Hao Liang and informs her that her aunt will be coming with him on the company trip, and if she joins them, he will try to persuade Gu Li to sign her internship certificate. Hao Liang agrees to go. However, both Han Yi and Gu Li are surprised the next day when Hao Liang arrives, but this time she's with Zhu. Han Yi tells her he had only mentioned that she could invite her family, but Hao Liang explains that Zhu is her childhood friend, and she considers him like family. While on the bus, Hao Liang quietly asks Gu Li if he has prepared her singing equipment. Gu Li watches the scene, feeling unbearable jealousy. Han Yi sends him a message, urging him to be patient, but Gu Li stands up and goes to Zhu's seat, telling them there needs to be a seat change so he can sit at the front. Hao Liang leaves the seat, but before her friend leave, he stops him saying that he should stay. That evening, everyone gathers around the fire, and Zhu and Hao Liang start singing. Gu Li, feeling jealous, goes to the bathroom to search for the song's lyrics and begins memorizing them. Han Yi enters the bathroom and notices Gu Li is singing incorrectly. He starts teaching him while making fun of him. When Gu Li comes out of the bathroom, he begins singing and asks Hao Liang to sing with him. They start singing together happily, while Zhu feels jealous. Later in the evening, Hao Liang heads to the hotel restaurant but finds that all the food is gone except for one piece of cake. Gu Li comes out and asks what she's doing there. Hao Liang tells him she was hungry, and Gu Li says he's hungry too. Hao Liang offers him the piece of cake, saying she's no longer hungry. Gu Li tells her he doesn't like sweets, so Hao Liang suggests they share it so he doesn't get too much sugar. However, Zhu suddenly steps between them, takes the cake, and eats it, leaving Gu Li seething with anger. In that moment, Gu Li decides he's going to confess his love to Hao Liang. The next day, after preparing the place with flowers, candles, and food, Gu Li discovers that Hao Liang hasn't shown up. He goes to her room, but her aunt tells him that Hao Liang can't come out right now because she was actually doing a live singing session. Gu Li tries to go in to see her, but her aunt stops him and pushes him out. The following day, Gu Li meets Hao Liang, visibly angry, and asks why she didn't reply to him the night before. She tells him she was on a call with her parents, but her aunt winks at her, since she had actually told Gu Li that Hao Liang was asleep. Gu Li feels like she's lying to him and snaps, yelling that he had planned to confess his love for her. Hao Liang is shocked, but then her aunt steps in and tells her that she and Gu Li can't be together because he's 10 years older than her. She takes Hao Liang by the hand and walks away, leaving Gu Li behind. Han Yi scolds Gu Li for confessing in front of Hao Liang's aunt, telling him that even if Hao Liang loves him, she won't be able to accept him in front of her aunt. Gu Li returns home heartbroken, but he remembers that his personal robot has a camera that records everything. He reviews the footage from the night he was drunk and hears Hao Liang confessing her love for him. He becomes overwhelmed with happiness. The next day, Gu Li goes to her university but finds a play being performed. Hao Liang had worn Cinderella's costume, which actually belonged to one of her classmates, just to try it on. But she nearly falls, and Gu Li, who has just arrived, catches her in time. Just as he's about to confess his love again, the classmate barges in and ruins the moment, accusing Hao Liang of trying to ruin her dress. Hao Liang defends herself, and Gu Li tells her to calm down, saying he'll make it up to her classmate if needed. The girl says she wants a specific pair of shoes to wear with the dress, so Gu Li decides to go with Hao Liang to buy them. When they arrive at the store, Hao Liang feels uncomfortable seeing how expensive the shoes are. She asks Gu Li if he's doing all this just for her classmate, but he tells her she's being silly. He's not doing anything for anyone but her. He says he loves her, knows she loves him too, and that he's willing to wait for her to graduate and for her aunt to accept him. When they return to the play venue, Gu Li gives the shoes to the girl. She invites them all out to dinner, but Gu Li takes Hao Yang's hand and politely declines, saying he already has special plans. Once outside, the two of them enjoy their time together. He buys her ice cream and tells her to stop calling him so formally or he'll have to punish her. Hao Liang playfully asks what kind of punishment, and Gu Li leans down to her level. She thinks he's about to kiss her, but he steals her ice cream instead. A bit later, Gu Li asks Hao Liang when she fell for him. Hao Liang bravely admits it was from the very first moment. That evening, Gu Li drops her off at home, but then sees a couple sitting and hugging nearby. He asks Hao Liang to hug him, and she does, but when she notices the couple kissing, Gu Li asks her to kiss him too. She leans in, but just before she does, Hao Liang's teacher appears and interrupts them. She tells Hao Liang she's happy about her improved math scores and thanks Gu Li for helping her, just like he said he did. The next day, Gu Li and Hao Liang decide to go out on a date. Hao Liang tries to make herself look older to match his age, while Gu Li tries to look younger. Hao Liang borrows her aunt's clothes, and Gu Li takes some clothes from Han Yi. When they meet, they both laugh at how ridiculous they look. While they're sitting together, Hao Liang receives a message from her aunt saying she can see her with Gu Li at that moment. Hao Liang panics, but then gets another message from Han Yi, who is with her aunt, telling her it's a bluff and just a test. So Hao Liang lies and tells her aunt she's at college and that Gu Li isn't with her, then invites her aunt to come over. Her aunt believes her. Later, Hao Liang spills coffee on her clothes, and Gu Li helps her get cleaned up. They decide to go shopping for new clothes. While Gu Li is changing, the store employees mistake Hao Liang for his assistant because of what she's wearing. When Gu Li comes out and hears this, he loosens her hair and holds her hand in front of everyone to show she's his girlfriend, not his assistant. On the way back, both of them start wondering who will initiate the first kiss. Just as they lean in at the same time, they accidentally bump heads. Gu Li insists that he'll kiss her properly, and as Hao Liang gets ready, he surprises her by kissing her forehead instead. When he sees that she was clearly expecting a kiss on the lips, he realizes he was being foolish. The next day, Hao Liang was practicing at her dance club when she got a call from Gu Li. He invited her over to his place for dinner. She told him she was busy but would try to come. She then confided in her friend that she felt overwhelmed trying to juggle her work while also hiding her double life. Later, Hao Liang goes to Gu Li's apartment. He welcomes her and prepares a romantic dinner while she plays PlayStation. When he serves the food, Hao Liang struggles to cut it, so Gu Li leans in to help her. Just as he's about to kiss her, the front door opens, Han Yi and Hao Liang's aunt walk in. Han Yi panics, unaware Gu Li was home. Gu Li quickly hides Hao Liang, pushing her toward his room as her aunt heads to the bathroom. When her aunt hears a strange noise, she becomes suspicious and calls Hao Liang, telling her to come out because it's better if she does. Hao Liang steps out and tries to convince her aunt she was only there for work, but Gu Li takes her hand and tells the aunt clearly that he and Hao Liang are dating and it's their right. Hao Liang isn't a child. They all sit down to talk, and the aunt turns on the TV to calm herself down, but it happens to show a risque scene from a movie. Assuming Gu Li and Hao Liang were watching it together, she gets furious and grabs Hao Liang to leave. Gu Li follows them, insisting it was just a coincidence and swearing he hadn't been watching that movie. As they step into the elevator, Gu Li pulls Hao Liang back before the doors close. When she asks what he wants, he kisses her, then heads down to talk to her aunt and convince her that he genuinely loves Hao Liang and is a good person. The next day, the girl who had previously tried to get close to Gu Li applies for the job at the company instead of Hao Liang and is accepted. From that moment on, she tries to chase after Gu Li. Hao Liang sees her in her singer persona in the evening and tries to get closer to Gu Li. She grabs his hand and tells her that he's already in a relationship, but when they get in the elevator alone, Hao Liang asks him why he hired that girl for the job. He tells her that it's just for work and asks her to mind her own business. When he kicks her out, Hao Liang is surprised that Gu Li hasn't recognized her by now, especially since she has the same voice and her appearance isn't that different with makeup. The next day, Hao Liang goes to the college and cheers for the game that Zhu Yi is playing in. When she gives him water, Gu Li grabs the bottle and tells Zhu Yi that he won't let his girlfriend give water to anyone else. Zhu Yi gets upset and challenges him to a basketball game, which Gu Li accepts. He leaves his coat with Hao Liang, but the girl who likes Gu Li comes and says she's cold, deciding to take the coat to wear it, while Hao Liang doesn't know what to do. As Gu Li and Zhu play, Gu Li shows great skills, even managing to win against Zhu. When Gu Li returns to the audience, Zhu Yi, feeling defeated, leaves quickly, and Hao Liang follows him to try to comfort him. When Gu Li goes to the girl, he finds her with his coat and asks her what she's doing with it and how she allowed herself to take it from his girlfriend. The girl feels embarrassed in front of all the students. While Haoyang is talking to Zhu Yi, he tells her that he's not happy with her being around Gu Li and asks if Gu Li is closer to her than he is. Haoyang tells him that Gu Li now he is her boyfriend. Zhu becomes even more upset with her and asks her to leave if she sees him as unimportant. Later, Gu Li comes over and wants to take her and leave, but Zhu Yi grabs her hand and stops her from leaving. Gu Li feels jealous and tells him that he appreciates that Zhu Yi has been her friend for a long time, but now he's her boyfriend and he won't allow him to hold her hand. Zhu Yi's jealousy increases, and he tells Haoyang not to forget their Friday appointment, referring to the live session where she sings. Gu Li, feeling jealous too, begins to suspect that there's a secret between Haoyang and Zhu Yi that he doesn't know about. Later, Gu Li returns home and tells Han Yi that he feels something strange between Zhu Yi and Haoyang, a secret he doesn't know. Han Yi remembers the day she was singing and recalls that her voice seemed familiar. He watches the live sessions where Haoyang sings and compares the voices, finding them to be the same. He also compares their appearances and realizes that they are one and the same. The next day, Han Yi goes to Haoyang and tells her that he knows everything about her. Haoyang asks him to keep it a secret and not tell Gu Li anything, because Gu Li really dislikes her other persona. The next day, he visits her aunt and asks if she knows any secret Haoyang is hiding with Zhu. Her aunt tells him that she can't tell him the secret, but it's something Haoyang is keeping hidden because she's afraid of losing him. When Gu Li goes to the company, he sees Haoyang in her singer persona and tells her that she had once told him she knew Haoyang. He asks her what she's hiding from him. Haoyang tells him she can't reveal anything about Haoyang but invites him to watch the live session so he can understand everything. When Gu Li watches the live session, he hears Haoyang say something important, that she has never hidden anything in her life and has never been afraid, but now she's scared and nervous, especially about confessing her love to the person she cares about the most. She's afraid of telling him the truth, fearing she might lose him. At that moment, Gu Li puts the pieces together and realizes that Haoyang is the same person who sings at the company at night. Their glances speak volumes. Haoyang feels that Gu Li is going to break up with her, so she prepares to leave, but he grabs her hand and tells her that he loves her in all her forms and doesn't want her to be afraid or hide anything from him again. He then takes her home and asks why she lived with two different personas. Haoyang explains that her mother has never liked singing. It all started back in middle school when she was going to sing in a musical play, but her mother came in and took her out of the performance, which caused her trauma. Since then, she hasn't been able to sing in front of anyone. That's why she decided to create a hidden persona. To this day, she still can't reveal her true identity while singing or tell her mother the truth about who she really is. Gu Li tells Haoyang that he loves her just the way she is and that he will support her. As long as she's with him, she can do whatever she wants. The next day, Gu Li watches her live session by himself and writes comments for her, just like she had always dreamed of before. When Han Yi sees him, he tells him that love works miracles, because he never accepted that persona before, but once he realized she's the girl he loves, he accepted her and loved her too. The next day, Haoyang finds out that her mother visited, so she quickly hides her things. However, her mother finds the mask and gets scared. Haoyang decides to confess, but her mother thinks the mask belongs to her aunt and scolds her for bringing such things into the house. Then, she tells Haoyang that she knows she has a boyfriend and came to meet him. When Haoyang's aunt hears about this, she goes to call Gu Li and tells him what happened. She also tells him about what Haoyang's mother likes and asks him to bring it as a gift. The next day, Haoyang's mother decides to cook for Gu Li herself. Haoyang's aunt meets Gu Li and warns him to prepare himself because her cooking is terrible. At dinner, Haoyang's mother serves Gu Li the food, and although it was really bad, Gu Li compliments her. He then gives her papers containing his personal and medical information. Haoyang's mother is surprised to learn that Gu Li is 10 years older than Haoyang, but Gu Li assures her that he will take care of his health for her sake. The next day, Gu Li tells Haoyang that her mother seems strict but is kind and will let her do what she wants. Haoyang decides to go live without makeup and then removes the mask, telling her audience that since she was young, she didn't have the courage to do this because she felt like no one loved her. That's why she created a different persona, to feel loved. But after meeting Gu Li, who didn't love her other persona but loved her for who she truly is, he made her love herself and gave her the courage to reveal her true identity. Haoyang's mother was watching the live session and felt upset, so she decided to leave the next day. However, Haoyang stopped her and told her that her mother had made all the decisions for her since she was a child, but now it's time for her to live her life the way she wants. She asks her mother to return home and promises her that she will find everything she loves. Haoyang's mother then agrees to return. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to get all the latest updates. See you next time.